The truth is that Macron has started a war that he cannot end. Your Majesties, welcome back to another quick one today. Yes, the speech of Ibrahim Traore is going viral after he retaliated to the insults that Macron threw on African leaders. And I said, why not we deliberate about it today? Because, of course, you know, Ibrahim Traore, like I keep saying, there is something about this man that whatever he does, whatever he says, always pierces through. And as the information is going round, there are some informations that Macron right now is sick. Macron is in the hospital right now because of the authority, in the words of Ibrahim Traore, and how Ibrahim Traore was able to, you know, give back to him, gave him the taste of his own medicine. Because sometimes, like I told you, in all the dealings of Macron lately, you could see frustration in this man. You could see someone who feel like all hope is lost and they can do anything at this point to get back to that position where he is. In all in summary of the discussions, I'm going to leave the speech of Ibrahim Traore after this little analysis. But in summary of the discussions of Ibrahim Traore, the reply he gave to Macron, everything is just, you know, summarized in some little words. Okay? Without Africa, there would have been no France. France is existing because Africa allows it. Okay, it is Africa that gave France that push to exist. So without Africa, France is done for. And the French people are also aware of this fact that there is a lot they are gaining from Africa. And you see, that's why you see they are doing everything to see that they keep this relationship, this slave master relationship between them and African countries where they exploit from. When I tell you that it's the motherland that gives life to other continents in the world, it's not because I'm trying to hype Africa so much. When you look at history, you look at what is going on right now in geopolitics, you understand that every war that has existed and is still existing has something to do with the motherland and her resources. It's either they are fighting themselves to see who becomes the upper hand, who becomes the winner that has more power, more control on African countries and milk out resources and take out whatever they want to take. It's either that or the other way. These are what has been proven from history up until this time. And the truth is that they make you dislike the continent. They make you hate on your motherland. Those of African descent, they tell you nothing is in Africa. Now, the question is, nothing is in Africa, but you are always in Africa. What are you looking for in Africa? Nothing is in Africa. Africans are telling you to leave them. You are refusing to leave them and you are loving them by force. Can you explain that? So they tell Africans, leave Africa. Africa is not the future. Africa does not have anything to give to you. They made a lot of youth believe that if they want to succeed, they must leave the motherland. A lot of our youth, promising ones, are leaving. Some of them get stranded when they go out. Their dreams get shattered. A lot, we don't hear anything about them anymore. It's just few who get to that limelight. This is a fact. This is the realities that we are faced with by day. And sometimes we are not ready to accept this reality. That these people are luring you out of the continent. They are telling you to be comfortable where you are outside the continent. But they are coming to your continent, to your homeland, to your inheritance, to take that which belongs to you. So they tell you Africa is poor. Africa does not have anything to offer you. Africa is not good. But they are always in Africa. Doing what exactly? Recently, we hear that a lot of informations are out there that sometimes you begin to wonder, where is the world going to? But the truth is that Macron has started a war that he cannot end. Because there is no way that Macron is going to have a peaceful night from the moment he's made those statements out in public. I think this is how far Africans can take the shit, the nonsense, the whatever that the collective West is doing. And this is an example. We are using Macron right now as an example. So whoever thinks they can just come out and insult Africa as they have been doing before should also know now that things have changed. Africans will not take that anymore. Okay, because we have Africans who now know how this game is played, like Ibrahim Traore. We have Africans who now know how these people claim that, okay, no, we don't need your resources. We are now taking out our military bases, but they are hanging around in suits doing other things. Why must you lock around when they ask you to go? Why must you lock around when they have kicked you out? This is a question I want you to answer me. If Africa does not have anything to offer the world, like the world claim, like the mainstream media claim, the poorest continent in the world, the what have you, everything, they have dumped Africa to the lowest. If Africa is not important and have nothing to offer the world, why is world power locking around the continent of Africa? So I'm going to leave you here with Ibrahim Traore and his speech, and some other political analysts give their own analysis about this whole thing. And I'm going to see you in my next one, Your Majesties. Bye for now.
Quand je prends dernièrement les propos de Emmanuel Macron,
when I recently consider Emmanuel Macron's remarks about Africa, every conscious African should therefore quickly understand everything he has told us and what it signifies. General Chiani recently spoke of a change in tactics or strategies of the French forces in Africa. I think he has come to confirm it. It is about dissolving and keeping a core presence, and Emmanuel Macron said it so well that we can only thank him for this sincerity, even if some wanted to pull the wool over the eyes of their population. But reality eventually catches up with them too. They will not leave certain countries. They have simply dissolved the structure. You will no longer see them in bases, but in embassies, they will be there. They will form security companies to secure their companies that exist in these countries, but the soldiers will be there. But you will no longer see them in uniform gathered in bases. That's all it means. They will reorganize, but will be there. He spoke of politeness towards certain heads of state by giving them the priority of announcing the break or the departure of French forces. This matters little to us, one might say, but all we know is that if you want a break with these imperialist forces, it's simple. You denounce the agreements. Everything starts there. I think the example of Chad in any case is palpable. They started by denouncing the agreements. Otherwise, if the agreements are not denounced, just saying that the bases are leaving, we have done nothing, because the problem lies in the colonial defense agreements that have been signed since independence. The most dangerous thing is not what you see in the bases. The most dangerous thing is the military advisors. Military advisors exist in all these countries. They also existed in Burkina until 2022, until we took responsibility. And who are these military advisors? They are the ones who are supposed to implement France's policy here. They must work to make our armies very weak, so that France can always have the argument of existing here under the pretext of comparing us. They had succeeded. Our sentinels were thus standing guard with sticks. That is what France wants from our armies. When we reach this stage, we have no choice but to want them to come and settle. But the Burkinabe army managed at one point to get rid of the military advisors. Unfortunately, I think that in 2019, after the operation in Tapoa, where these French saw that the Burkinabe army still had the capacity to react to terrorism, they called the chiefs of staff in France. They instructed them to reinstate the military advisors throughout the structure. Well, he did not accept, but upon returning to the country, the politicians instructed him to accept the military advisors, and that is where the military advisors returned to the Burkinabe army in 2019, with all the consequences that we know. The army was disappearing in the years 2020 to 2021, and moreover, this is the moment when many soldiers had to desert, because there was no more hope. We were collapsing. That's a little how they work at the general staff of the armies, in all the army general staffs, in the schools. It is they who are supposed to dictate the policy of our army. It is they who tell us how many to recruit, when to recruit, and what to do with them. They are in the schools to tell us how to train them, and so on. As long as these military advisors are there, you are not independent. Your army will only have the appearance of an army that will be there doing parades, circus acts. But when the war comes, you will realize that the parade is one thing, but the war is another thing. It is necessary to break the agreements. It is the only way to have an independent army and build itself to be strong. But many people do not understand it, perhaps. And even with these agreements, France chooses officer cadets in our states to train them. This through these same agreements. But in reality, these officers who go to train for the most part for France, they come to serve the French state in their country. They do not come to serve their country. They train them so that they come to serve the interests of the French state. I offer as proof. When we revolted, many officers in Burkina who were trained in France were immediately contacted to tell them that it was time to take action because you were trained for that, to serve the interests of France. Most of these officers reported this to us. We took note and we continue to monitor. When an officer trained in France arrives in his country, and unfortunately, either by accident or on the battlefield in France, there is a night of tribute to the dead in the army as everywhere else. At the night of tribute to the dead, the name of the officer in question is cited, and it is said died for France. They do not train them to serve their country. They train them to serve their state. And in many African states, there are many of these officers. How many are patriots? God only knows. It is a lesson that Emmanuel Macron gave again to African heads of state to catch up and to be able to truly lead this struggle against imperialism. But in addition to that, he also insulted all Africans in his remarks. There is a part that caught my attention where he spoke of ingratitude, and that ingratitude is a disease not transmissible to humans. He is human, our ingratitude is not transmissible to him. That's how this gentleman sees Africa, sees Africans. We are not humans in his eyes. Perhaps it is he who is not human. He does not put himself in the class of humans, but well him. I think that if he did not think about it, and he prays every morning when he wakes up, he should pray to the Africans, because it is thanks to our ancestors that a France exists today. He should pray to us. In his eyes, we must not be humans. We are more than humans. These are very strong messages that he conveys. I pity the French people. But still, he is good for Africa, a necessary evil for us. Those who want to awaken. Those who do not want to awaken. As we say, one cannot awaken someone who is not sleeping. Africans must awaken. We must work to be independent, at least so that our people know happiness. And the struggle against imperialism is that. It is necessary to decolonize mentalities, to take into account all this data, because the world gives us so many examples to see. For them, there is no morality. They can call you a terrorist today, but tomorrow you are a hero by their simple word. They decide what they do. They speak of democracy, but they themselves carry out constitutional coup d'etat among themselves. They speak of human rights, but they decimate populations elsewhere. The African must awaken. Africa must awaken.